Oh, good morning. Break an egg from now our usual place in the White Hart Hotel, right in the centre of Lewis. And I had with me Andrew just a moment ago, and he's disappeared again. But hopefully he'll come back. Andrew Sloan from Grizzly's Barbershop, one of our regular contributors. God bless him. He came on this morning and said, "Are you expecting me?" I said, "Yes." We sent the link. It came through. It's disappeared. So I hope that we can get Andrew back, that he hasn't gone for good. Uh, he hasn't. Here he is. Add to stream, I think. Yes, there he goes. And because he's in a hurry this morning, he's always a man in a hurry, I have to say, is our Andrew. Good morning, Andrew.
Hello.
Oh,
hey.
yes.
Can you hear me?
Are we hearing you? All right.
Yes.
I
Can you
think
hear
we
me?
are. Yeah. Okay. The speaker has gone down to 31% for some reason. So I'm about to boost it. And so we should hear you. You
Hello.
all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I was just having problems connecting. I wasn't working the audio and all those technical things. There we
Exactly.
go.
Yeah, I know. They're dreadful, aren't they? They keep on screwing us up. However,
How are you?
I'm all right. It's been a hectic 2 days. We started our broadcast in the White Hart
Yeah,
on
brilliant.
Tuesday. We've had all sorts of people pile through.
Brilliant.
We don't start the main program until 9:30,
Yeah.
and that's the one that eventually I hope that you are going to appear live on and give us demonstrations of hairdressing and so on. Because believe me, if you haven't had your hair done by Andrew, you haven't had your hair done.
Oh,
It's a marvelous place to go, Grizzlies. Um, the Bonamy, the as they would say in Northern Ireland, the crack, the excitement and interest, apart from a first class hairdo, is absolutely worth the money itself. So do hustle down there. But I'm going to be talking to Andrew in the next couple of days so that he will appear in the White Hart in the bar with us one morning a week for about an hour so that he can actually show you, because he's very concerned, am I not right, that people understand how to look after their hair when they're not at the barbers.
that's it. Yeah. I mean, it's the maintenance. It's quite, when people come in and they can look like they've just sort of just fallen out of bed, really. And then you only have to just brush their hair really and put a bit of water and spray it down, and you sort of realise, oh, it is all right then. I don't know what it is. It seems to be quite a Lewis thing that not everybody seems to sort of leave the house completely presented. Yeah, it's quite interesting, really. A lot of people, but it's a very low maintenance town. They want something very low maintenance, and it is really easy. I mean, it takes 2 seconds. So it's just that I think people don't bother. So because they think it's too much hassle. But you think actually, leave the house, nice clean top, clean shower, get your hair done, bam, you're ready for the day.
Yes. Well, you're going to make sure that people keep high maintenance by learning how to do it, we've got to decide on a day, because I have to tell you, they're getting in through Andrew's doors is sometimes very difficult. The queue is a mile long at Market Street. That's where he is, at Market Street, Lewis. It is Market Street, is it not?
It is Market Street.
Yes.
Yeah. This is it. You see.
Well, we've struggled with the name for it because there's a lovely little quarter down there by the needle makers and so on. And we've decided we should have, and the market tower, we should have a little name for it. It's sort of like the Latin Quarter or something. Have we
Yeah.
arrived at a name yet?
Well, someone said the artisan quarter, someone said the artist quarter, but it needs to be something because obviously there's the brilliant there's Taylor and West, the independent opticians across the road, and then obviously we've got the tattooists next door to us and the piercers, and you've got Patch, obviously, an independent cafe bar. You've got the needle makers, the flea market, the Friday market. I don't know why Lewis Council just haven't jumped on that really, because
Yeah.
it's such a cute little area with all the little
Expect too much from
businesses.
them.
Yeah, it's just this perfect opportunity to say this is like an actual area to go to.
Yes.
Especially the car parks down the bottom. You walk up 2 minutes. How it's not like so many people who've lived in Lewis for years still come in and say, "Oh, I didn't know you were here." We're just like,
Yeah.
right, could they just Google us, find us, and yeah. So they need to do something about that,
And
really.
the needle markets can provide a nice market atmosphere as well, can't it?
Yeah, it's such a great building, that Needlemakers. It's a really good
Yeah,
vibe, actually. You know, it's
yeah.
really good.
I mean, you're like Lewis's version of Carnaby Street in some ways.
This is why, like Sophie lives across the way and stuff, and Aggie and stuff. We said this, how there isn't, on Carnaby Street, a big banner across, obviously because the buses go under, or you can have one of those sort of signs on the left, like a wooden sort of sign that, like, you're now entering the so and so quarter or leaving it. I don't know. It just seems that's what I would do if I was a town planner. I'd go, right, okay, let's make Lewis certain areas. So you've obviously got the
Yeah.
High Street, you've got the Riverside, you've got all the various parts got done by the canal. You've got obviously the up our bit, yeah. But
Well, from time to time, and in the very early days, we used to say you're entering Mirador country. So perhaps what we should do is say you're entering Grizzly country.
oh yeah, very good. Beware the bear. Maybe we could put that over. Yeah. Like they do in Canada and America. Yeah.
And Andrew's shop is known as Grizzlies, by the way. So when you're in that area and you're looking for him, look for Grizzlies. Now, very quickly, because I know where's my girlfriend this morning?
John's taken her out because she's not been well for the week, So she seems to be the last few days she's been okay, but the week before last, apparently there was a dog gastro thing going around. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So she sort of had us up quite a few times. This is
a lovely little dog. Tell us about the dog.
So Bella, we got it will be 11 years this Christmas Eve. We got her from Raisted, just outside in Ringmer. Dog rescue. She's only in there a day, but we just sort of put the feelers out, really, that we wanted, a dog, and if there was somebody who said couldn't necessarily have one anymore or whatever, So it was quite important just to sort of think, rather than go searching for the dog, see what else comes about. And then there was one of the workers there, Sarah, who just emailed us saying we've got a pug cross come in today. So we popped in and we looked and we loved it because we went to the RSPCA, we went to the Shoreham Dogs Trust and various other places. And you just wanted to take all the dogs, really, but all the dogs seemed a bit, sad. Whereas when we went to Race, all the staff were nice, the atmosphere was nice, and all the animals were quite perky. And Bella came bounding out, so we thought, oh God, clearly this is a good vibe for animals. So we just obviously we fell in love straight away, and went and collected her the next day. So so she'll be 11 in July, which is crazy. But as you know, she's still quite energetic, really. But being that
Jack Russell, for an 11-year-old, she's very energetic.
But
keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, she's a bit, So yeah, bless her. She's really good, and it's great having her in the shop, because obviously people love it, So yeah, she's a cute little social being, really. It's nice having her around,
Yes. Now, Andrew, you're looking at the bar in the White Hart where we broadcast from, where Cliff and Sally Aries have been more than welcoming and helpful, I have to say. They have two lovely ladies here, Jane, who's on holiday, who's been with the White Hart for some 23 or 24 years. And Sharon, who greeted me this morning with a cup of coffee and so on. And it's early morning stuff, of course. She's been with them for 3 years. So the whole jolly band here make us feel very, very welcome. But, it just occurred to me that really we're only just a spit from you, right opposite the courthouse. But that little area is the Crown Hotel, the White Hart, and the courthouse were all favourite stomping grounds of Tom Paine. So perhaps what you should do is actually grab Tom Paine and put him into your Grizzly quarter and expand it slightly. And then we've really got something to push, haven't we? We can push Tom Paine along with whatever quarter we decide to call that little area.
Yeah, it's a good idea, that. Yeah, maybe we'll do a bit of I think maybe there's some quote or something. He might have said, I used to have a quote somewhere. I was going to put it on the wall about when you get a haircut from like the 1900s or something. So maybe there's some sort of quote. There might be some sort of quote we can put on. Do you know what I mean? Tie all that in.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Sort of a lock worth cutting is a lock worth saving, or something of the sort. 18th century.
Very good. Oh my God.
Oh,
So
dear.
you're all settled
Uh,
in there then? You're all comfy
well,
and settled?
what we are is we're basic. We're very basic, but we're getting away with it. We've had some interesting people, had some interesting chats the last couple of days, and we're actually going to America later on to Connor Winton, who is part of our little team in New York. Most people don't know that Mirador have got a team in New York. Well, we have actually a team of 4 or 5 people.
Because I'll be
And
there in June, won't I? Because I'm going
yeah,
into New
sorry,
York in June. Because I'm
yeah,
off to New York
absolutely.
in June, so I can hook
Yes,
up and
yes,
have
and
coffee.
we're
That'd be
expecting
nice.
broadcasts from there. Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be cute.
you'll be looking at the Statue of Liberty, and somebody will say, you've got a broadcast. You've got to go back to home to Mirador," and you'll say, "Curse that haze, curse that
Yeah,
haze. I
yeah.
want to go up the Statue of Liberty."
Or I'll be in a bar. Yeah.
Yeah. But Connor is coming on a little later because he has some knowledge of the situation in Ukraine from an American perspective. And I thought that it would be quite interesting, particularly since he is part of our team, to get the American perspective on what's happening over there, because it is quite different to ours. And I think that it's important that a small little town though we may be, we're reasonably sophisticated, and it would be a good idea to get that viewpoint. So that's upcoming after 9:30, and in fact we've encouraged people to drop by, and we've had half a dozen. Janet Barr, Councillor Janet Barr, dropped by on the first day and made a very strong appeal for youngsters who feel that they've been left behind, that they have no sense of worth, and that yet they probably have got all sorts of skills which they can't apply to university, but they can apply to work of various sort. And she's very passionate about this. And I'm happy to say that we have got a student, a young man. He comes in on a Wednesday. He was with us all day yesterday, and he's dyslexic, and he's an absolute cracker. He's a hard worker. He understands the thing, gets on with it, and we're really proud that we're part of that program. So yes, I think that we're beginning to justify our existence.
Well, we've got that. We've got we've got some lads that have been cutting their hair since they were quite a bit younger, bless them, and they're all sort of going into the world sort of this year. So we're trying to tie them up with various businesses and people. I've got a work experience boy coming in today actually for a chat. So it's good because you just clock it if they're slightly nervous or slightly low self-esteem or don't quite know. So you can go, well, actually, we can try this, and it's almost like giving them a bit of guidance in a sort of safe way to go, yeah, that's fine. You're not gonna know. Yeah, let's just try that, see where it lands. It's that you just want to catch them a bit, don't you, just before,
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, now
absolutely.
there you
Too
are. You
right.
see, I didn't know you were doing that, and I'm full of admiration. I mean, I'm full of admiration for you for a lot of things, but this adds to my admiration for you because you're a real activist in your own way. I mean, you get on with your barbering. You run the most unique barber shop I've ever come across. I mean, I drop in there about 3 times a week just for the pleasure of it. But here you are burrowing away, helping people because people do need help. And I particularly understand youngsters who perhaps need help in the practical side of things because they're not much good at academic stuff. I mean, I got a degree. It should have been in beer drinking. I was thick as 2 short planks at school. I was thick as 2 short planks at university, and yet somehow I managed to reach the grand old age of whatever I am, and struggle through. And I think that we need to give hope to these youngsters that they're not left on the shelf. That there are things they can do, and that I mean, some people would say, "Oh, no, being a barber." My God, have you put fun into being a barber? Coming into your shop is just it's exhilarating. It's like taking a drink first thing in the morning, for God's sake.
Well, it's like I always wang on about. Life is, especially in these times, it's crazy. So I just think if I can be one place where someone feels comfortable to walk in and just go, all right, and just have a chat or just 2 minutes a thing or just that's it. I think that's good then, isn't it? it sounds a bit, trite, but if you can sort of cheer someone up or just steer them away if they're if they're feeling a bit down or a bit not quite confused or just need a bit of time out, I just think, who'd you go to? Sometimes it's tricky to go to family or friends or anything official or anything like that, isn't it? So just to be able to say, I don't know what it is about, people just sat in their chair. They do. Maybe it's me that I'm nosy, but people do sort of just,
And why not?
people do open up, So I do
Yeah.
straight away. If they just hint at something, I'll catch that and go, oh, okay. What about this? And are you okay? And right, let's do a cup of tea or don't. So I try to give them that. If there's a little crack, they just show or say or something. You try and just let them know that you've heard that in a way,
Yes.
and then you can, if they want to talk about it or they want to, then you can, and if not, well, we're actually I think it's going to be from May, I think, various clients we've been talking to, because obviously things are really bonkers, but we're going to start doing in the evening, just a bit of a drop in, because there's quite a lot of my clients who are going through, they're just a bit sort of slightly, overwhelmed. So I just thought I was going to do a bit of just a social thing where, they can just come in and we can just chat. And if they need to, it's almost like having the chat they'd have, but without the haircut, really, and have a drink,
Yeah.
tea or a beer and a bit of pizza or something, and just have something different rather than, blokes go to the pub or something official or something like that. So, because
What a
men's
very
mental
good
health,
idea.
well, men's mental health is, it's slightly sort of neglected, really. It's either very official and let's all sit around in a group and
Not
sort of,
slightly, it's very
or
neglected.
yeah, or but it
Everybody's got
needs to
a
be.
textbook about it. Everybody's got a speech about it. Everybody's got a charity for it, and most people do sweet bugger all because they don't
But
understand it.
but like the official thing, that's it. It's over here somewhere. It's quite, so where you've got to get the person, your builders, your electricians, your normal blokes, people, school kids, whatever. You've got to get in that first initial bit when they first feel slightly, when they first vocalize they feel overwhelmed or feel a bit off or feel a bit anxious or angry, or you've got to catch that moment, because over here is one thing official, isn't it? But if you can get to that bit first of all and just get them thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, that's the plan. Because it is sometimes, clients can come in. One client came in, bless him, normal bloke, 5:30 haircut, didn't leave till 7 o'clock, just literally offloaded, and because he doesn't really sort of hadn't had that chance, you just go and you sort of just to make them feel that you're not alone. If sort of most people are feeling like this, then clearly something's going on, because it's not just you. I've heard it. How many times have I heard it? So in a sense, it takes the pressure off them, because they think,
Yeah.
oh, it's just not me losing the plot. Actually, we're all going through the same thing. It's really weird. People this week as well have been using almost similar sentences about how they feel about life at the moment. Everybody feels that they just need to just worry about their world in a way. So there's something like, I'm just closing in on my world. I just need to just deal with that at the moment. So that's really interesting. I think everyone's
Yeah.
really finding it tough. So obviously people are thinking, right, I just need to just not listen to the news and the catastrophe. Just get themselves down, because I think people are on the edge a bit. Being
Yes.
bombarded completely by about politicians getting away with it, I think is just almost continually doing that to us. And I think people are just like, I can't have it
There is a
anymore.
widespread feeling of that. I've had a wide range of people. Now, some have appeared, some just talk to me because they know that I do a television show, and that politicians have lost the plot. They don't understand us, and basically, as you say, that they're putting up two fingers.
Yeah,
And the last people to understand that they're doing that are the politicians.
yeah.
Um,
And it's
and
almost like being, when you're at school, if you're ignored or something like that. I don't know. I just think people, it's just continual. Who'd want to be like on those news presenters and they've got to stand outside number 10 and say that, all this stuff. And I'd be like, I can't anymore, because what can we do about it? What can we do? So it's too much. It's continually in the prices. Even I think Martin Lewis said the other day is, I don't know what else to suggest anymore. So I just think we're all like, enough, you know.
yes,
You know, I think
Yes.
we're all too
I mean,
exhausted for civil
and the thing
unrest,
is that the situation is getting worse, not better.
which is why
Every
people are
forecast we
just
have from the economy
closing
is that
in.
it's going to be tougher. Every time that we look at Ukraine, the Russians are making more advances. Every time that we look at the NHS, there is another. Well, you were very close to one. I'm not going to mention it in case it's confidential. But our medical sector, our police sector. I mean, they're still fighting over Crescent and Dick and where they'll go. There is no clear leadership in the police, and it's about time that they did. However, let me say this: there is some hope, Andrew, because I actually got hacked on my PayPal account. Now, luckily, they only got £21, which isn't a fortune. But I couldn't actually get hold of PayPal. Like most big organizations, they manage to hide all their important information in their websites and so on. And then they say, go to the website, and it's a complete and utter maze. So I actually phoned the police, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I spoke to this charming lady, and I said, I'm sorry, but what I want to make sure is that they don't raid my bank account and sort of take large amounts out, because it did happen to me once before. So this lady said, "Oh no," she said, "I'm pleased that you called, and we had a little chat." And the next thing happened is a PC Harris, I think, is a charming lady, police woman, turned up on the doorstep. Took a statement. She's phoned me at least 4 times to make sure that I'm okay. Looking
Yeah,
at me and thinking perhaps I'm a bit frail.
no. Duty of care it
So
is.
I
It's a
have
duty
got
of care.
in first class attention from the individual copper. And
Yeah.
what a pity that the whole organisation can't follow its own frontline troops.
Well, it's unfortunately it's whatever's priority, But you'd have been seen as vulnerable. Like with the Met Police, there's a thing called total victim care, which is the first thing where you've got to respond. You've got to do something. You've got to respond straight away. So it is there, but it's unfortunate because they're so, down on officers and staff and everything. So because obviously there's individual detectives and stuff that do various cases and things, and frontline workers. So yeah, that's great. Absolutely, too right.
Yeah.
This is the thing, but there's so much negativity bombarded towards the police. Why would people want to be in the police? It's like because it's the, especially BBC News. Oh my God! So it's tough, isn't it? It's like unless we nurture, it sounds thing, but unless you look after the NHS, the staff, the services, the police, the frontline workers, emergency and ambulance paramedics, unless we look after each other, people aren't going to want to do it, and they're going to leave, and they go, I might as well just work in Domino's, I might as well work in Asda, because they just think, what's the point? So
Yeah.
it's so bombarded with negativity. And if you're going to work faced with, that, why would you do that? Because it's too much, isn't it? On top of
Yeah.
everything else in life. So yeah, it's a real shame,
Yeah. Well,
I
you're
mean, I've been
where you
trying.
are because you wouldn't give up, and I'm where I am for wherever that is, because I wouldn't give up. And I'm always reminded, as I think it was H.G. Wells that said, "Most men say why, I say why not." And I think that
Yeah.
our attitude is, why not? Let's have a go. And it keeps us young, it keeps us positive, but also we start to make a contribution to our society when everything around us is, as you say, very negative.
Yeah, it's hard work, It's really
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
exhausted all the time. It's like a lot of barbershops have put their prices up. Well, like everyone's put their prices up, but I spoke to the boys and stuff, and we're opening later now. And we do later clients and stuff. But I mean, we've always done it for regulars. But Nick's going to start opening on a Monday because I thought I need to generate more income. How do I pay the bills? Because obviously broadband's gone up a tenner in the shop, and I'm still want to provide the coffees and the beers and the whiskies and stuff like that. So I don't want to compromise any services. I don't want to make the appointment shorter so it's one in, one out. I don't want our brand, our product to suffer. So how can I do that? But obviously I need to make more money to cover the excessive costs now.
exactly.
So, if we all three do an extra haircut, that's 3 extra haircuts on a day. that will cover the extra broadband. It will pay for the coffee. It will pay for the things. So it means we don't have to put our prices up, which means we're not passing on our extra costs to the customers, which a lot of people are, obviously.
Yeah,
So,
well, I mean, if only the big organisations would think like that, but they
I
don't.
know.
And
It's quite simple.
they're enthralled to the bloody computer. Personally,
It's
I would
quite
have a
simple.
bonfire of what is it? A bonfire of the vanities. I would have a bonfire of the computers. I would throw them all onto a big heap and start all over again. Frankly,
This is the problem.
they
It's like
are a
I've been
blight on
trying
our
to,
society. Yeah,
yeah, I've been trying
he
to get
said.
hold to through my bank, my co-op bank this week, and on the phone, because I need to do something with America, and so I just don't want to do it online. Really, I just need to speak to him just to check I'm doing it correctly. And yeah, I've been on hold 45 minutes. I've been trying to call the Inland Revenue because they've still got outdated figures on my account from the year before. So I'm trying to do my tax return on the 6th of April, like a good boy. Done all my accounts. I'm up to date. Da, da, da. Can I get through? That was 45 minutes the other day. So I've been trying every day. And of course, I can't keep blocking out cuts because if I block out 45 minutes, that means I can't do a cut, which means I won't get any money. So it's really frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But, because
Even more than that is I need to talk to one of the larger banks, and they send me a reminder. Please talk to us. So I say, okay.
Good luck
I
with
click
that.
on the thing, and it says can't deliver. In other words, they have no answer system. They don't mind the one way. Hey, please get in touch. They don't even say please get in touch with us immediately. How do you get in touch with them? Well, if you want to start at 8 o'clock in the morning, you might get through at 8 o'clock at night, and it's all a nonsense and it's all silly, and they seem to be oblivious to the anguish that they're putting the average person through. I'm a real rebel, mind you. I am in the White Hart where the rebellion all started, but
I think, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. Will it be civil unrest? Because the price of everything going up, and I've had clients in the other day saying they put their scarves on at night. Somebody else was riding around on the bus for 2 hours, so they didn't have to go home. Like we sort of said, right, no more flatbreads and stuff to put in the oven on. I was going to do a roast on Sunday, thinking, well, that'd be a cheap meal for like 2 days for us. We're thinking, well, actually, the cost of putting the oven on is expensive. Families are saying they're not putting the dishwasher on because one guy didn't have it on for a month, his dishwasher, and he said the amount of electricity that was saved, he said he didn't realise, So everyone's going, right, and what am I doing here? What am I doing there? So it's that thing of going, not using the hob to heat up the soup, using the microwave. And so we're all now sort of doing that really. But the cost of things, at what point is it going to be that people are going to be shoplifting? People are going to be, burglaries might go up, there might be robberies because of people who are addicts and things. It's a real, like, I know one of the food banks, one of my clients works there, and they've had a severe drop in donations from supermarkets. And, so this is real, and it's only going to get worse. Oh God, I shouldn't have said that. So yeah. Anyway, talking of that, I've got to go to work and do another long day.
Well, we're broadcasting till 11:30, and at 11:30 we'll do a bit of tidying up, and then I'm going to stick my nose in just to say hello for the pleasure of it. And I hope that the cuts down at Grizzlies haven't made sure that there's no whiskey in the Jack Daniels.
Maybe I'll swing in for like 5 minutes at 11 o'clock. I've got a client, but I've got a half-hour gap. Unless he keeps me talking, which he does. But maybe I'll swing up at 11 o'clock for a quick hello.
Well, that would be very nice. It would be great to see you.
Great. All right, Keith.
You go and visit him. It's worthwhile. Believe me, it is more than just going to the barbers. It is an experience. It is an experience worthwhile.
Yeah, come and have a chat. Come and have a chat. Adios.
Bye, Andrew. Well, there we are. Andrew Sloan from Grizzlies Barber's Shop. And I have no idea where we are now. Let's see whether we can find even what time it is, because I know that we've been on. Oh, it is bang on 9 o'clock. It is right. It is 9 o'clock exactly now. And perhaps it's time for us to just take a quick look at the newspapers. But first, let's take that lovely break that we take. In fact, what I'm going to do this morning is we'll go down to Southover Grange Park in a moment. But let's just take a look at Susan's photographs, which we've got stored here, because many of you haven't seen them. She gets up very early in the morning, Susan Harris, and goes and takes some lovely photographs around Lewes. She says that she's got some new ones for me, but I need to talk to her so I can get them delivered and put into a form that you'll enjoy. But here is a couple of photographs, just so that we can take a breather and you can get away from the sound of my voice sounding off and telling everybody how awful they are. Well, here we are, the White Hart Hotel, about 1700 or so, and very, very historic, run by Cliff and Sally Aries, who are just so welcoming and so helpful, and their staff are delightful. So even if you only just want to pop in and have a cup of coffee, then do so, because it's well worthwhile. Well worthwhile. And you meet some extraordinary characters in here. And come in and say hello to us. After 9:30, come in and say hello. We're in the back or the front, whichever way around you look at it, of the bar, which is a very ancient bar. Or you can stay in what used to be called the Farmer's Bar, is now the lounge, and have a cup of coffee, and enjoy yourself, just chilling out, as they say, chilling out. So Mirador Television. Let us tell you a little bit about Mirador. Mirador has been going for about 6 years now. It started out of disaster. It was like Phoenix rising from the ashes, and with new technology, which we were alerted from the United States, and which everybody takes for granted now, as you can broadcast from your phone. We sat outside the coffee shop, Cafe Nero, each morning at about 6 o'clock, just before it opened. Well, in fact, before it opened, because we would chat to the regulars, and we would chat to the people that would come down to get a newspaper, like Kevin, the landlord at the Brewers Arms. And it was all a jolly sort of thing. We wandered off up to the castle, and we wandered down occasionally to the priory, and we did all sorts of interesting things. And then, as we went along, we got our programs going. We were sailing along nicely. We got to the point where we were broadcasting to the world. Lewes was broadcasting to the world, and then the disease, the dreaded disease, COVID, struck and damn near wiped us off the map, along with all sorts of other things. But we've survived, only just. We've survived. We've still got lots of myriad problems, which we are tackling on a day-to-day basis, but we are here. And we are here in the White Hart, and we are very happy to see you drop by. You want to sound off? You want to punch me on the nose? It's just some of my views. By all means do. But come and join us, and people slowly are doing so. And it's an opportunity for you to let your fellow citizen in Lewes know what you're thinking. So that's Mirador Television, as we call ourselves the biggest little television channel in the world. We do broadcast to the world, but we are also geared towards our own hometown of Lewes. And that's where we are, and in this historic hotel. And it's a fantastic feeling, because this is where Tom Paine espoused the rights of man, where he formulated his ideas before going off to the country which he, according to historian Bill Bryson, he actually named the United States. and persuading the colonists that the king was not going to grant them any favors for taxes. And they then rebelled, and they broke from Britain, broke from England, and became a country in their own right. And what, for all its faults, what a magnificent country it is. So this is where it happened. Look at the beams behind us. Those beams were there when dear old Tom was busy thumping the table at what was known as the Headstrong Club, saying, "This is not right. This is the way that we should be treating our colonists. We should be giving them the freedom to govern themselves." And eventually, when we didn't, they took it. So this is where it all happened. Okay, let's now, if we can, take a look at the papers, because Harry is in the middle of everything again. The Daily Mail, palace shock at Harry, the Duke of Delusion, it says, and Prince Harry, has given interviews now to say, "I popped home to see the Queen because I was worried that those people around her would be steering her in the wrong direction. So I just wanted to make sure that she was well protected and she'd got all sorts of people around her that will look after her." So basically what the paper is saying is, who the hell's he to decide who should look after the Queen, even though he is her grandson? So the Duke of Delusion. The Mirror follows up. So if we've got the right wing and the left wing of the media saying the same thing, are you coming or not then? To focus on what he calls Prince Harry's Jubilee dither, because what he's saying is, "Oh yes, I'm coming." The report the day before yesterday was that he and Meghan were going to be made welcome by the Queen to go onto the balcony along with the other members of the royal family on her Jubilee celebration. And now he's saying, "Well, I'm not sure whether I'll turn up. I've spoken to Granny. I don't know. I'm not going to say." And quite rightly so. Is you could say, well, a lot of people would be like that, but he's not a lot of people. Many people look to him for inspiration. Many people look to him for guidance. And if he's not going to actually respond to the challenge and indeed to the duty, then we must put him aside. That's my view. The Metro, which is a London paper, Diana helps me to cope. In this wide-ranging interview, he's made all sorts of statements, and one of them is that his mother, Princess Diana, has helped him cope because of her spirit, and as he sees it, perhaps the abuse that was given to her by royalty, and the unfair treatment, and that she actually manifests that feeling of I'm going to conquer all, passing it on to him. The Daily Express, which is always tending today to be pro-government, pro-royalty, and so on, says Prince Harry's ultimate royal snub. And they say the interview that he gave stoked royal tensions after he refused to say whether he missed his father, Prince Charles, or his brother, Prince William. He is behaving in rather a petulant way, I must say, no matter right or wrong, what the family is like. His petulance is really upsetting. Now, my dear old Daily Star, what has it got to say? Ego has landed. Well, the Daily Star it follows. It often doesn't follow the rest of the media, but it has in this particular instance. And what it's saying is that Prince Harry has left the royals at war with his comments, and that his ego is out of control. Well, you've got your own view on that, I'm quite sure. The Guardian: Johnson fails to block Partygate inquiry as backbenchers mutiny. And basically, I think it's not a totally accurate headline, if I'm listening to the news this morning, and that is that there's some compromise has been reached, is that the inquiry into whether Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, lied to the House of Commons has been sort of partly put off. But it was there were efforts to block it. And the newspaper says that some of the Tory backbenchers refuse to do that. Frankly, I think all this is fiddling while Rome burns. We have got so many problems on so many fronts, from war, pestilence, sagging economy, and institutions such as the police and the NHS all wilting, that worrying about whether he actually had his iced cake at Christmas, it seems to me to be a lack of effort on behalf of our government to do anything about some of the problems that we're facing. The eye, Tory rebels fear being burned by Johnson. Those people who decided that perhaps they wouldn't toe the party line and vote against Boris Johnson apparently are abstaining rather than voting against, because they fear that their careers will be ended, that they will be hounded by Boris's troops. True or not? Well, awful things go on in top politics. I'm glad I'm not part of it, I'll tell you. I think I would wake up with nightmares every morning. And the Daily Telegraph, Putin tests the world's deadliest weapon. Now, this to me is probably a headline that is more pertinent than most. And that is, as Russian troops make headway now into Ukraine, that Putin has said, or is reported to have said, that he has got a rocket that is nuclear and that he is prepared to use, particularly against those who threaten the Russian Federation. Now, that could be anybody. That could be us. It could be Nepal. But the fact of the matter is that he is beginning to wield threats, and with this man not being exactly readable. One wouldn't say that he's insane. On the contrary, one mustn't say that about a world leader. But one would say that you can't tell what he's going to do next. So if he's actually got a few rockets clenched in his fist, he's a bit like the North Korean leader, and who knows what the next move is going to be. And I think that the world rightly is on edge, watching carefully, except for our own lot who are worrying about ice cake and unopened packets of crisps and a half-drunk bottle of champagne, all at Christmas, by the way, several months ago. On the same page, the Daily Telegraph, there's a lovely picture of the Queen with two ponies. They are a particular type of horse. I've forgotten which one they are. But it is a charming picture. And her love of horses, of course, is well known. These two horses are really fine specimens. It's a charming picture. The Times, children's czar calls for ban on smacking. Well, since I don't have, I have a daughter. I have two grandsons, of whom I'm immensely proud, but I don't have young children anymore, and I'd lost track of what we're able to do and what we're not. I thought you weren't allowed to smack children anyway, but apparently you are, and the children's czar, the person in charge of children's welfare in the country, is saying stop smacking altogether. Now, I think that this is very controversial. The big problem is, of course, is that if you permit smacking, somebody will undoubtedly use excessive force. Children will be injured. By the same token, if you stop it altogether, then you take away one of the ways, that age-old ways, that parents have of making sure that they can discipline and steer in the right direction their children. So it's still, to me, a very live debate. And undoubtedly, because I have touched on a sensitive topic in which passions are aroused, is that there'll be all sorts of people that were calling me names. But that's okay. Go right ahead. I'm used to having names called. The Sun, Grumpy versus Trumpy. Well, apparently, Piers Morgan did an interview with Donald Trump, and it all got very testy. In the end, after Trump, he challenged Trump's assertion that the 2020 American election was stolen from him. He stormed out of the interview and refused to carry on. So Grumpy versus Trumpy that's light relief. That's almost as good as the ice cake that they're fighting over in Westminster. The Financial Times. Now, this is a bit of a shock because the perceived wisdom has been that Netflix and streaming is the way of the future, and Netflix has made a fortune. Well, that seems to have come to an end because their subscriber list, the number of people subscribing to Netflix, has fallen dramatically. And what's going to be in its place? Who knows? Perhaps Mirador Television. Who knows? Perhaps we are beginning to hit on something that people will want to watch because they never know what's going to happen next. You know, we're in early days. We're only 3 days into our new form of broadcasting. But soon I hope that we will see people marching backwards and forwards in here to sit down and talk to us and follow on from the things that matter in our society and things that matter to them. We've just heard from one of the barbers in the town, Andrew Sloan, and how he feels about some things. And I must say that I think that he's got a good feel for particularly our treatment of the mentally stressed. I've had some experience of this, and frankly, the way that we actually deal with it is outrageous. But nobody is going to change because what the hell? It's easy, isn't it? All we do is we get the future king to be head of the mental health charity. It's all done. It's all done and dusted. That's okay then. We'll raise more money. But is it well spent? Are the people in charge of mental health? Are they in any way aware, really, of the people that they should be looking after? I rather doubt it. I have spent over 5 years trying to look after a lady who was mentally stressed, and I certainly got no thanks for it, and no help, not at all, because the bureaucrats got in and they took money from her when she was sectioned for a little while. They deducted that from any money that she was due, and that was the only thing they could do. And that's what the rules and regulations said. Thank you very much. That really made a great contribution to mental health. Will anybody take you up on it? No, I shouted at you, but I'm a voice in the wilderness. People don't care, except that now it's becoming widespread. Suddenly, your casual attitude, your laissez-faire of those who are mentally stressed are going to have a much wider congregation, a much wider audience. And as a consequence, you're going to have to start to take notice because there will be more people hammering at your door than not. So start to think, oh God, politicians, civil servants think? Oh, hell no. There's a form for it, you see. That's how they deal with things. There's a form for it. And it's funny how people that I admire enormously will take a look at our local politicians and our national politicians. And they fall into that trap of, well, fairly nice guy. Yes, he does quite a good job as a politician. Well, doing a good job as a politician is a badge that I wouldn't want to wear at the moment. Nobody says, should we be looking beyond the people that strut the stage? Should we be actually looking at real reform? Reform? Oh, we can't reform our systems. Goodness gracious me, no, it's too comfortable. It looks after those of us who have found ourselves in a position of power. It looks after us too well. Reform? Reform? What are you talking about, child? So as a consequence, we carry on. We carry on with a poor police force. We carry on with a poor NHS. Yes, and it is poor. Doesn't mean to say that some doctors and nurses aren't extremely good. I've had very good care. I can't complain about that. But the unfortunate thing is that that is not the system. That is the individual. It is important that we have individuals with the ability to handle sensitive issues in our lives. People who are practical, who understand what's going on the ground, because there's a hell of a lot of people that live in bubbles, the political one, not least of them, who don't have a clue. Not a clue. They know how to handle debates. They know how to handle the systems in Westminster. But they do not understand what's going on the ground. They don't even bother to try and find out. Well, ours is the sort of program that tries hard to tell them. We are a voice in the wilderness. We're probably only getting to 3,000 or 4,000 people out of a total population of 64 million. Small potatoes, isn't it? But to me, if you chip away and you chip away and you chip away, eventually people start to listen. When you think about it, that's how Christianity started, isn't it? Which reminds me, next week, a little feature that we're going to start is great love stories of Sussex. And there is a cross, a wooden cross, leaning against the wall of a village church in Sussex, not too far from Hastings, not too far from Battle, the eastern part of the county. Nowadays, people have to actually go and ask what it's all about. But it signifies a story, a love story, where a young girl was forcibly abandoned by her lover on the basis that his father would disinherit him if he carried on with the affair, which he did. Her name she shares with a courtesan in Athens shortly after the days of Christ, when Paul of Tarsus, St. Paul, was preaching around the Mediterranean and found his way to the Athenian intelligentsia. She shares a name. So from the Acropolis to a little churchyard in a little village and a little wooden cross in Sussex, we're just going to relate a love story that did not have a happy ending, as many of them didn't in those days, and has all but been forgotten. But her namesake shouldn't be forgotten. In Athens, in around 50 AD, any more than this lady should have been forgotten in the mid-1800s AD. So we're going to recount that next week, and I hope you'll join us. It won't be a long love story. It's a very poignant one, and I hope that it might touch the heart. And when it touches the heart of the White Hart. Affairs from the heart which is our main program now, which emanates from this very bar that you can see behind me in the White Hart Hotel, and in which we will have people who drop by to see what we're about, what we're doing, have their say, have a little chat, and hopefully make a contribution to our community. So it doesn't matter if you've got an event, if you've got a charity, if you've got an idea, you've got a thought, if you want to express it, here we are. All you've got to do is to walk in, sit down, and talk. And we can't offer a better deal than that. There we go. I think we're within about, let's see, 9:27. 3 minutes before the witching hour. And in fact, we probably will say goodbye now, simply because we need to prepare for our next 2 hours, where we have to keep going and talk about all sorts of things which are important. And hopefully we have people come by. If not, you have to listen to me. But no, we are going at 10 o'clock. We're going across, hopefully, through technology to New York, where we're going to talk to Connor Winton, who is our correspondent in New York. And Connor is going to chat. Oh, I heard a noise behind me. Perhaps I thought somebody might be coming in. Not a bit of it. Connor is going to give us his viewpoint on the war in Ukraine from the American perspective. And this is where we are very lucky that we're able to go and visit people and chat to them and find out what others are thinking. So let's get, it's 9:28. It's a lovely day outside again. It's going to be about 15 degrees with just a light breeze, not much chance of rain. We're having a very fine spell of weather. Perhaps a little breezier than it was yesterday. So if you're wearing a hat like this, beware, be careful. For the moment, toodle pip. We'll see you in about 5 minutes, I think. Here we go. Toodles.